This wasn't the episode I intended to start with for season 3, but it's the episode that's needed. You see, all week long, I've been trying to find time to put this submission package together for the podcast to be featured with Apple Podcasts and Spotify so that this podcast can reach more listeners. But, all the things you do to make things make sense on paper. But the truth is, the last few weeks, honestly, these last few months, they've been a test of faith and fire. I've been learning what it means to pour just enough to serve without self sacrifice. For so long, I was more concerned with tending to others, needing to be needed, and calling that love. I gave to everyone before I gave to myself. That was the curse that lived in my bloodline, the silent inheritance passed down from one generation of women to the next. The belief that our worth was proven through depletion. Yesterday, something finally clicked. I heard the whisper to rest before empty, and I listened. Now, this is not the beginning of my healing journey, but it's the height of it. Even at the height, though, I realized something was still keeping my feet chained to the ground. And yesterday, my faith carried me. I've been stretched as a mother. I've been humbled as a daughter turned teacher. I've been shifted from the youngest child and only daughter to a matriarchal figure for the lineage. I've been refined as a partner. I've been broken open as a clinical counselor. I've changed as a friend, learning that real friendship isn't built on overgiving or proving my care, but on mutual restoration, truth, and presence. And I've transformed as a human. My soul has changed, and I simply couldn't keep that to myself. So if you've been asking for a sign, wishing, praying, begging, or even dreaming, this is your sign. My divine rebirth is your inheritance. So, welcome, beloveds, to Sunday School. I'm T, your sacred conversationalist, and this message could not wait. There's always a remnant, always a few who choose the narrow way, the path that doesn't promise applause but guarantees alignment. It gets lonely because many who once called you friend, family, or even love find discomfort in your presence. We are the ones who didn't run from the refining fire, not because we're better, but because we were designed for this image. Those who stayed faithful when it was inconvenient to stay, who prayed, not begged, when it would have been easier to post, who went silent and were willing to lose everything and everyone built on feeding the distractions. And here we are, not many, but mighty. Because might was never about numbers, it was about willingness. Even in the face of discomfort, accusation, persecution, or discrediting. Those who speak truth to people out of love, because we know that love is truth and truth is what makes you better. Loving you enough to speak life into you, even when the world only wants comfort. But imagine not feeling worthy of love or truth. The version created by the divine is often buried beneath the one earthbound and worldly obsessed, worshiping man made creation over the unseen creator. So many are so used to lies that lying has become the language of survival. They don't know they communicate in little lies as a worldly mode of connection. That's why truth feels like betrayal. Because when you've been indoctrinated into a system of deception, you deceive yourself into believing all that you see. You allow worldly distractions, programming, unbalanced relationships, and diminished morals to be your comforts. Blinded by the stars, the celebrities, the influencers, and status symbols, but never looking up to the true cosmological gift of direction. The North Star was meant to take you home, and the wise stars were meant to provide insight. But you were taught to turn off your divine classroom and turn on theirs, study theirs. And now, the mental wellness of the collective has plummeted into consumption, powerlessness, fear, and distraction, all while being told you've made it, but you don't feel it. That's the inversion. To remain so distracted that you never question what you worship. As long as your desires are met, you unknowingly sacrifice your life, your mind, body, and soul to maintain it. But when you start to question, the wheel slows down. The fog begins to clear because you finally start to have the kind of faith that was never written down. It was always within. It was built that way so it couldn't be stolen or rewritten. You are the only one who needs to remember, because once you do, your presence becomes the proof. Not what you have, but what people feel when you walk in a room. That kind of presence makes hearts and tongues confess. Even when they can't say it out loud, the energy tells the truth. Many don't realize their language holds curses. Their repetition is the spell of worldly obsession over divine faith. As long as that imbalance exists, their feet remain chained to earth. To choose faith is to move forward when the world tells you to keep your head out of the clouds. To choose imagination when they call it childish. To see beyond the visible, because even creating a graven image can betray your faith if it replaces the unseen source. Free will remains your birthright, but comfort keeps most bound. Hope postpones the responsibility that faith requires. There's a pattern in every age. When the world begins to crumble, there's always a few, the quiet builders, the light builders, the intercessors. They hold the line when the majority lose the plot. They're the ones who understand that hope is the waiting, but faith is the walking. Hope prays for a door to open. Faith builds one when there's only a wall. Hope keeps your eyes lifted. Faith gets your hands dirty. Hope says, I believe it can happen. Faith says, I am what I believed. When hope matures into embodiment, that's when the few become the mighty. They don't just hope for change, they become it. Maybe you've been wondering why your path feels so narrow, why the crowd keeps thinning the deeper you walk. It's because you weren't called to be visible, you were called to be vital. You're not lonely. You're chosen to slow the wheel to break your own curse. They say you're going to be your own undoing. And yes, you are. But which way are you going? You are not behind, you're being built. You're not outnumbered, you're being refined into resonance. This walk isn't for everyone, but for those who stay, who love when it's hard, who show up when it's quiet. You become the evidence of what faith looks like when it finally grows up. Sunday Soul Practice. Now, this is the point where you can go ahead and open your notes app or get a pen and a piece of paper. We're going to first reflect. Where in your life have you been waiting on hope to move when faith is asking you to act? 2. Journal. Your journal prompt is, what does faith look like in motion for me? 3. Affirm. I am part of the few. I am mighty because I am willing. If this message found you, it was meant to. Even if you're not ready to move in truth, the shift has already begun. You can't unhear the sound of awakening once it reaches your spirit. You can't unknow that the wheel you've been running on was never freedom. It was fatigue disguised as progress. Some of you are still sprinting on the hamster wheel, calling it purpose, calling it productivity, calling it survival. But that wheel doesn't move, it spins. And spinning will make you dizzy enough to mistake motion for meaning. Some of you are still lying to yourselves because truth demands a death before it delivers resurrection. But hear me. The rapture you've been waiting for is not in the sky. It's in your soul. The karma in all of this is that your conscience goes everywhere you go. You can't escape it, ignore it, or silence it forever. It will whisper through your rest, echo through your relationships, and rise in your reflection until you remember. It does not care about your position, your race, your gender, your status, the size of your home, your popularity, your influence, or your bank account. It does not bow to what you've built in the world. It moves through who you've become in the soul. Heaven isn't coming down, it's rising up within you. The separation is ending. The reckoning is eternal. The reckoning is internal. The trumpet is in your conscience. This is the quiet call of return, the unveiling that spares no one. Willing or unwilling, every soul is standing before its own mirror now. Each life, each pattern, each reflection reveals the road chosen, alignment or avoidance, surrender or resistance. You don't have to be perfect to awaken. You just have to stop pretending you're asleep. So if you're hearing this, it's not coincidence. It's confirmation. The rapture has already begun, and it's beginning through every heart that breathes. Everyone is being refined. But what that refinement reveals depends on the alignment of the heart. This walk will not be easy. People will gatekeep how uncomfortable your truth makes them. Many speak of Yeshua as if he were universally loved, when in truth, many, if not most, would still reject him today. And if they say they love him, why do so many live opposite of what he stood for and opposite of what they speak of him? Because this existence is cyclical, and without true lessons learned, patterns repeat in relationships, in work, in mind, and in spirit. You cannot cheat the divine system. Every being is shaped by the God they serve, and that God shapes the world they see. If your reality feels divided, fearful, or built on the belief that love must be earned, that is the reflection of the God you've agreed to mirror. The proof is in you and all around you. To think you can outmaneuver the divine is to forget that you were created in the image of your chosen God. But when your soul remembers the source beyond systems and names, your worldview shifts. You begin to see heaven and earth working together, not apart. You live in equilibrium. And to live in equilibrium is to wear your crown in heaven and keep your feet on earth, and dwell in the balance described across sacred texts. Colossians 3, verse 1 to 2 says, "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth." So, may your faith outgrow your fear. May your steps be sure even when unseen. And may you remember, everyone is being refined, but what the refinement reveals depends on the alignment of the heart. It only ever takes a few to shift an age, to restore a people, to awaken a world. We are few, but we are mighty, and the time is now. If this message found you today, it was meant to. Share it with one person you love, someone holding on by the thread of hope who needs to remember that faith is still alive. Thank you all. Thank you for joining me. Please follow Between Lovers, the Heart and Soul Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. For more Sunday School reflections, go ahead and visit betweenlovers.com or follow me on TikTok at Between Lovers, BTWNLVRS. Welcome to Season 3. We are just getting started. I'm T, and this is Between Lovers. Until next time, walk gently, walk boldly, walk soulfully. Peace.